combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we've got a great Jimmy Rants episode for you here today. If you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, go to JimmyRants.com. And what it is we come on Instagram Live, and we do this twice a day, generally in the mornings and the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So go follow me at Livin' Low Carb Man on Instagram, and you can watch these live just like all of these guys down here get to do every single day. And then we also have it up on Instagram for 24 hours after it's over. So if you can't catch me live, you can catch the replay on Instagram. You can see all the great comments that come in down there during the rants. And here's the great part. We save them on YouTube. So go to JimmyRants.com. I think we're up to like 40-something episodes now. So go check it out on YouTube, JimmyRants.com. And today is when we're supposed to find out if the Jimmy Rants podcast is ready to roll. So we'll be sharing more about the podcast, which will have the best of the best snippets from this here show. So today's Jimmy Rants topic: why is a low-fat vegetarian or vegan diet deemed as healthy? So think back through your entire life, and every time you thought about a, quote, healthy diet, what did it always contain? Reduced fat, lots of fruits and vegetables, maybe healthy whole grains, all of those things that people deem as healthy. They've always believed it was a plant-based kind of diet, a vegetarian or a vegan diet, and mixed in as a low-fat diet. And of course, it was reinforced as a direct result of all of the government guidelines saying that fat was the enemy in our health. So, wow, if you're going to reduce fat in your diet, the best thing you can possibly eat, in their minds, was leaner meats and then mostly plants and vegetables, fruits and vegetables, plant-based foods. And so if that's the belief that people have, why aren't we all healthy? Why hasn't everybody embraced this plant-based diet? Why hasn't everybody decided, you know what, I'm going to eat a vegetarian or vegan diet? And here's the dirty little secret that vegetarian, vegan, and vegans don't want to let you know about. A lot of people that start on a vegetarian or vegan diet do not stay on a vegetarian or vegan diet. I read a recent statistic that showed that half of people that claim to be vegetarian or vegan, they end up eating meat as a cheat. So they cheat on their vegetarian or vegan diet. And why? Why is their bodies are screaming at them for the amino acids that are called complete proteins that are only contained in animal-based foods. Their body's screaming at them because there are things called essential amino acids. And if you're not getting those essential amino acids from animal-based foods, even as simple as just adding an egg to your diet will give you all the complete proteins if you choose to eat a plant-based diet. So I'm not dishing on plant-based diets. I think if you want to eat a mostly plant-based diet and that makes you feel good and you get great health markers, that's great. Unfortunately, I think there's sometimes this notion that you can get all the nutrients that you need, especially the micronutrition, just from eating plants, and that's simply not true. And if you just eat plants, unless you're just loading up on avocado oil and avocados and olive oil and other plant and coconut oil, plant-based fats, if you're loading up on just those, you think, okay, I'm getting all of the nutrition that I need to make this plant-based diet as good as it can be. So your vitamins A, D, E, and K, those are all the fat-soluble vitamins, and they need fat to work. Unfortunately, even coconut products and even avocados and olive oil, those are vilified in some sections of the vegan, vegetarian community. So that's my concern. I am not dishing on all vegetarian and vegan diets. I think you can make a vegetarian diet pretty healthy if you added in eggs, maybe a little fish, and definitely lots and lots of quality sourced, real whole food based fats, which would be mostly avocado, olive based foods, and coconut based foods. All right. So, but what I'm talking about here today, and if you just joined us, we're talking about why a low-fat vegetarian or vegan diet has been deemed as healthy, because you've heard it your whole life. You want to lose weight? Cut your fat. You want to get healthy? Eat a plant-based diet. You're hearing that out there in our culture on a daily basis. So why is this deemed as healthy? Well, part of the reason is people think micronutrients like vitamins and minerals can only be found in fruits and vegetables. You ask the average person, where do you get your vitamin C from? Oranges? Where do you get your potassium from? Bananas? You know, and you kind of go down the list. Where do you get fiber from? Whole grains? They don't ever think about you can get these vitamins from other sources. Vitamin C, all kind of vitamins are in meat, are in animal foods. And you get the added bonus of healthy fats in these, and it gives you everything that you need in your nutrition, especially if you return to what our ancestors did in traditional cultures. Animal-based products were like the basis of what they ate, and they ate from the nose to the tail, which means all the innards, all the what they call offal, O-F-F-A-L, and no, they're not A-W-F-U-L. Sometimes people call it awful, but it's offal, and it's all of those great organs that give you lots of micronutrition, especially liver, especially like beef heart is really loaded with a lot of great micronutrients, as is brain. I know some of that sounds gross to talk about, but they want to pretend like there's no micronutrition in a grass-fed cow. There is lots of grass-fed, or lots of nutrition in grass-fed and pastured animals especially. Unfortunately, a lot of the meats that you see available in grocery stores, they tend to be the muscle meats, and there's nothing wrong with muscle meat. But if we want to talk about micronutrition and we want to combat this argument that a vegetarian or vegan diet is the only way to get vitamins and minerals, the best way to do it is to tell them, what about the organs? They have no refutation to organ meats, and especially coming from an animal that was taken care of, and grass-fed, grass-finished, all the good stuff that you want to do with animals. And then most vegan vegetarians wouldn't have a problem with that, you would think, if all they're caring about is the animal and the safety and how it's taken care of. Now, obviously, you've got some people in the vegetarian vegan world that say killing any animal is murder and all this kind of nonsense. So if that's the way they believe, that's the way they believe, and you're really not going to get them to really touch meat. But I think even those people could add in eggs and make their diet healthier. All right, so the micronutrition is a big reason why people think that eating a plant-based diet, vegetarian, vegan, is healthy. They think that's the only place you can get your vitamins and minerals from. Another argument that's put out there as to why a low-fat vegetarian or vegan diet is deemed as healthy is the fiber question. So, don't you need fiber? If you don't have fiber, blah, blah, blah. With the assumption being that you need to have fiber in gobs and gobs, that you need to have fiber in the form of whole grains, which is one of the most irritating ways to get fiber into your system. What is neglected in this conversation when they say, well, people that eat keto or eat paleo or any kind of animal-based way of eating, they're not getting fiber in. You want to bet? You know how I get fiber in? I get spinach is my favorite. I love, love, love baby spinach. You can get fiber in broccoli. You can get fiber in cauliflower. There's fiber in all kinds of the lower starch-based keto-friendly vegetables. You get a little bit of fiber if you have blueberries or strawberries, but mostly from the plants that you eat that are in the form of vegetables. Okay? So there's this notion that if people go keto, all they eat is meat. And part of that mentality of why people believe that is there is this movement called the carnivore movement, which I've ranted about before. In general, I think the carnivore diet is a good thing, but I do think they need a little bit of plant-based matter, just a little bit, not a lot, to feed the gut microbiome. We still don't know a lot about that yet, so the jury's still out. I suppose all of these people doing carnivore right now will, in the years to come, report what happens to their health and all the things that change. But for me, I eat mostly a carnivorous diet. I'd say probably 95% of my diet is carnivore. And then the other 5% is where I'm adding in appropriate levels of non-starchy, green leafy, mostly vegetables, a little bit of avocado now and again, that kind of thing. So that might be another one of the points of contention as to why people believe a low-fat vegetarian or vegan diet is deemed as healthy. They wonder about the fiber. I think fiber's been a little bit overrated. I think they pushed this fiber thing on us because they wanted to push more grains on us. Because, you get all your essential grains that you need for the day, the essential fiber in your diet. There is really very little, quote, essential fiber in the diet that you need. And yet nobody talks about that. So that's a big, big one as to why people think this low-fat vegetarian vegan diet hung the moon and it's deemed as healthy. And then you've just got the general cultural belief that fat is still the enemy in the health. And so as long as people still believe fat is the enemy, they're going to obviously embrace a low-fat diet. Well, when you cut the fat in your diet, the default that you have to do is eat more carbohydrates. Now, vegetables and plant-based foods are definitely carbohydrates, but they are healthier ones. So people, it's healthy. So then they start eating more and more plant-based foods. They start eating things that you can't even hardly pronounce, called quinoa and all this kind of crap. And when you do that, perhaps for a period of time, you feel better because you're no longer on the processed foods. You're embracing real whole foods. But even after a while, you start to notice, man, I get hungry really fast after eating. Or, man, I just don't feel well. I'm starting to feel bloated a little bit. I'm starting to just not feel like myself. And so that's one of the problems with vegetarian vegan. You go on this low-fat vegetarian vegan diet coming from a standard American diet, and quickly, maybe you start to feel better because of the micronutrients that are in those foods. But then over time, and this has happened again and again, I've interviewed so many people on the Live and La Vida Low Carb Show podcast that are former vegans or vegetarians. And the biggest thing they said was, I felt good at the start, but then after about 2 years of eating that way, I realized I wasn't being optimal in my health and I wasn't feeling great. And so the reason this thing sticks around is most people don't last that long on a diet. If they're on a vegetarian or vegan diet and they're feeling great and then they start not feeling great, people jump ship like that. They do it with keto all the time. They do it with paleo, do it with any diet mentality, diet mode that's out there. They're going to quit at the very moment that things start to go a little bit awry in their minds. So that's a big one as well, is we need people to know that vegan, vegetarian might work for a little while, but obviously your body's going to scream at you for more fat and for more animal-based foods. So bottom line here, low-fat vegetarian vegan diets are deemed as healthy because we vilified fat, because people think that's the only place you get your micronutrition from, vitamins and minerals, and they think you have to eat those things in order to get fiber. Those are 3 biggies as to why people believe that. But watching my Jimmy Rants pretty often here, that animal-based foods are so critical to your health, and especially with the fats that are in there. Vitamins A, D, E, and K cannot be absorbed, and those are 4 biggies in the vitamins. They cannot be absorbed by the body without dietary fat. And here's one more piece of advice and information that you need to know about before I get to your comments below. There is no traditional culture, none, zero, that has ever been predicated on a vegetarian or vegan diet. Dr. Weston A. Price was the one that discovered this. He was looking around at all these traditional cultures, and he was observing what they ate. And every single one of the healthy cultures, every single one of them, incorporated animal-based foods into their diet. There was no exclusively plant-based society. So all of these vegetarians and vegans that run around saying, oh, if everybody was plant-based, all of our health woes would go away. I think in the temporary, they would get better because you'd get them off of crap and get them onto real food. But at some point, their body would start screaming at them, feed me more fat, give me complete proteins. Those things just aren't happening with a vegetarian or vegan diet, especially one that is low in fat. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Give me a rant. You got one, buddy. Ashton says, good morning. Hello. Welcome in. Why not simply eat quality vegetarian food with fats and then supplement? I'm assuming you mean supplement with protein. K. Denard 1. So the problem with supplementing, I'm not sure what you're asking here. Why not simply eat quality vegetarian food with fats? I think in general that's a good idea. My concern then becomes where the protein comes from. You need animal-based foods in order to get complete protein. So Ashton says, I was a vegan and vegetarian, wasn't happy, never felt satisfied. It lasted for 2 years. See, there's the 2 years thing. It was a big adjustment going back to eating meat again. And I've heard from a lot of these people and talked to them on my podcast. Most of them started with fish and or eggs. And you start incorporating that back into your diet regularly, you start to feel a whole lot better just adding in eggs and or fish. And then you slowly get to the point where you have a big steak and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I've been needing. So it's good stuff. If a person wants to eat vegan, theoretically he can be healthy with simply using organic healthy supplements, B12, algae oil for omega-3, vitamin D and B complex, and vitamin K2, where you're still not addressing the elephant in the room. Complete proteins. Where are they going to get complete proteins from? There is no such thing as a vegan complete protein. You have to have animal-based foods in order to have complete proteins. But all of those things that you mentioned are great, and as long as they're getting healthy fats from plant-based sources, mainly avocado-based foods, olive-based foods, and coconut-based foods, I think it in general could be good. But the elephant in the room is, where do you get the complete proteins from? I think if they add in eggs and or fish to their mostly vegan diet, I think that would be a great way to make it really good. K. Denard 1 asks if I promote intermittent fasting. You guys want to tell him whether or not I promote intermittent fasting? Is there a book out there of some sort that talks about fasting? It's called The Complete Guide to Fasting, buddy. I wrote it with Dr. Jason Fung 2 years ago. So go check it out. It's actually $3 on Amazon right now in the Kindle version if you want to go pick it up. But yes, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I engage in it probably on a daily basis. And yeah, there it is. All right, so if you have no other comments about why a low-fat vegetarian or vegan diet is deemed as healthy, then I will get off of this Jimmy Rants. But just to conclude, if you just joined us, everybody believes that this way of eating of a low-fat vegetarian vegan diet is the healthy diet. And it's not healthy because you need those real whole food-based fats. You need the real whole food-based complete proteins, which only, and I'm going to mention again, only come from animal-based foods. Protein, chia beans, and rice mix make up good plant protein. Again, there's no animal-based foods in there. You're missing some of the key elements in there. But thank you for sharing all your comments. But I'm going to move on. But please read the fasting book. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. Head on over to jimmyrants.com. Once you're there, you'll realize, hey, this dude does a twice daily show on Instagram. So let me go follow him at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. And you can watch me live in the mornings and afternoons. I try to do these twice a day. And then you can also watch it for 24 hours on replay. And then you can also watch all of the past Jimmy Rants at jimmyrants.com. We have a whole YouTube channel that has all of these past episodes. And coming extremely soon, I think it's releasing today, the all-new Jimmy Rants podcast, which will have the best of the best commentary from these rants. So thank you guys for being here. Amy says, can you believe I have no thoughts on this? It's not for me, this vegan thing. And I'm not anti-vegan vegetarian. You guys know I'm all about find what works for you. And if you feel well on a vegetarian or vegan diet, I think you should add in animal-based products in order to make it work really well, to get all the essential everything that you need. Eggs is my go-to. If you could just add an egg to a meal that's mostly plant-based and then have lots of healthy fats in that meal, you could probably be keto on a vegetarian or vegan diet. My friend and Keto Talk co-host Dr. Will Cole wrote a whole book about this called Ketotarian. It's one of the hottest keto books out there right now, and it's talking about being a mostly plant-based keto dieter. And if you choose to do that, his recommendation is to put an egg on everything or to have a little bit of fish. So I think you can have all the complete proteins if you just add in a little bit of animal-based foods. And there is no plant-based complete protein. It does not exist. It's just not out there. So hope you understand that. JimmyRants.com is where you can see all these rants. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.